Shopping malls, oil, beaches. That's the stereotypical view of the United Arab Emirates. But is there another face of the UAE? The United Arab Emirates is a relatively young nation, often confused as one and the same as its flashiest member, Dubai.
Held down heaven now, living in the same town, trying to find something new.
Yes, that city with the world's tallest buildings and biggest shopping centre, where luxury resorts were seemingly conjured out of thin air. But as a frequent visitor to the UAE, I've always felt I was missing something, the real soul of the country. So I'm about to embark on a road trip that takes me through the United Arab Emirates on the search for something unexpected. The nation is made up of 7 diverse and distinct emirates, ranging from the northernmost tip of the Arabian Peninsula, the big cities on the coastline, to the southwestern region of the UAE, close to the Saudi border. On the way, I'll be getting a rare insight into tribal traditions, seeing how young Emirati women are taking centre stage, meeting an unlikely expat from the Australian outback, and finding wildlife on an island that not so long ago was complete desert.
And what better place to start my journey than Ras Al Khaimah, which translates as top of the tent.
Ras Al Khaimah has for so long been a relative backwater, famous only for once having the world's longest reigning monarch. But outdoor types in the know have long raved about its diversity. Fertile and green in places, mountainous in others, with a sandy coastline now filling up with plush hotels. And just over the sea there is Iran.
Do people actually live in the mountains?
Yes. They have their own settlement up in the mountains.
I'm lucky. My guide is a member of the ruling family here. Royal and super wealthy Sheikh Salim may be, but he's also keen to promote how Ras Al Khaimah is not Dubai.
This is Jebel Jes Mountain, the highest point in the UAE, and certainly a bit chillier than down on the ground.
At 5,800 feet, a unique vantage point.
For the tourists to come camping areas.
What an amazing view. Wow, look at this. So this is your coast over here.
Yeah, this is the Gulf,
Yeah.
and this is the port, and you are sitting on the highest mountain in UAE.
And the air is fresh, it's fantastic.
And by building on natural assets like this, Sheikh Salim hopes to woo more hiking holidaymakers to his emirate.
This is Heritage Village, right?
Yeah.
This specially built showpiece tries to recreate traditional local village lifestyle for tourists.
Producing flour. Wow.
But I'm fortunate enough to be the guest of honour at a very special welcoming ceremony.
In our culture, the family is the center, and the tribe is responsible of all members of the family, and especially as you go up to the mountains.
Once oil production and big finance transformed this region in the 1960s, life was never the same again, leaving this to be one of the last remnants of authentic tribal Arabia. The Sheikh gives a quick lesson in protocol.
With an Emirati greeting way, that you touch the nose. You have to touch the nose.
Assalamu alaikum.
My host seemed as nervous as me.
Be normal. Normal.
Some of these men are from the Shehi tribe, which spans both sides of the Hajar mountain range. Life is very different today for the younger generation. Some of these guys now work in top jobs in the big cities with second houses and fast cars.
Okay.
Time for me to try and introduce the concept of local village idiot. My hosts smile patiently. Carried away, I offer to dance too. Big mistake. The ritual celebrations continue and end with a hearty meal.
I've got to say, what an experience, what a privilege to be with these traditional drummers in the Hajar Mountains in the background. I feel very lucky.
In keeping with local custom, it seems women are not part of this ritual celebration. But when it comes to the modern United Arab Emirates, things are changing. With the sword a symbol of progress.
Hang up.
Because fencing has become a fast-growing sport in the UAE. With girls in particular grabbing the opportunity with their favoured hand. The goal is to get a team to the Olympics and win some medals.
It seems to me like quite an ambitious thing to do, to create a female fencing team to compete in the Olympics. How do you set about doing that?
You know, from the beginning, we wanted to spread the sport among the schools and focus mainly on the women, because the women has a challenge to prove herself in our society. I'm sure about our girls that they will write history for fencing in UAE.
Both Alia and Sarah are now at university and have been fencing for 7 years, training every day, 4 hours a day. They're products of the drive to educate and empower women.
What do your family and your friends think about you doing fencing?
They support me, as I say, for you. So that make me feel so proud and aiming to really to achieve another goals. I guess before it's not allowed to women to play or to travel. Okay, but now we change our mind. We are developing, that's why.
It changed me a lot, especially in your personality. You become more stronger, you become confident, and I gain and I learn many skills.
Like this?
Yeah.
Yep.
It should be straight. And
It's not nearly as straightforward or swashbuckling as I imagined.
Oh yes, quite right, yeah.
Feet, yes,
yeah,
feet.
it's always
It's like dancing, it's like choreography. Yeah.
As you travel around Ras Al Khaimah, you notice how upmarket hotels on the coastline, like these, are gradually filling the horizon. And hotel construction continues, with plans even drawn up for an Ibiza-style party mega resort.
Today we've been visiting...
Sheikh Salim studied and lived in the UK and US for several years.
For you personally, watching the Emirates change as you grew up, watching your own Emirate change and evolve, seeing a globalized world, realizing that you could go and live in the rest of the world if you wanted to.
Sure.
Why are you here?
It's my responsibility for my emirate and to develop what our grandfathers and fathers of the nation started, is protecting our national identity and protecting our heritage.
Time to hit the road from the UAE's northernmost emirate. Driving through the United Arab Emirates is essentially the only way to get around, although train lines are promised for the future. Not surprisingly, petrol is cheap here. Problem is, driving standards can be, well, erratic, so unless you're really confident, a taxi is affordable with only an hour's drive separating one emirate from its neighbour. In fact, many locals commute daily from their home states. My next stop down the coastline, the UAE's centre of culture, Sharjah. Just like Ras Al Khaimah, this emirate has been in the shadow of Dubai. More conservative in terms of dress code, and in fact, it's one of the so-called dry emirates. alcohol isn't sold here. Sharjah's galleries and museums are its draws for tourists. And the brand new Arts Foundation in the heart of the city is elegant and daring in its choice of exhibits.
How important is this whole gallery to you?
It's an important part of my life now. I get to, it's an extension of my social commentary. We tend to encourage artworks from artists from the Arab world, and that is my way of kind of countering the narrative that's all negative about the Arab world. Naturally, there's always a push and pull between artists and between the community and what they can display in public, what is acceptable and what isn't. Some of the best art is art that has hidden meanings and hidden messages. So, in fact, this forces artists to be more creative.
Sultan believes that when it comes to tourism in the UAE, it's not just about numbers.
The UAE attracts over 10 million tourists a year, and that's just in Dubai. It's successful by any measure in the world. We're not worried about attracting tourists now. I think our issue is attracting the right tourists.
And I'm now off to that emirate where over 10 million tourists head every year, Dubai. Whilst most of the Emirates prefer to remain low-key, Dubai likes to shout about itself from the rooftops. Literally. That is the world's tallest building, the Burj Khalifa. And right now, I'm on the roof of the world's biggest shopping mall.
How much time you spent at the mall? All day, all day. How many runners do you got on call? As always, as always.
In the space of around 50 years, Dubai has mushroomed from being a tiny fishing village, probably smaller than this shopping mall, into one of the busiest hubs in the world. More people come here every year than the Eiffel Tower, Niagara Falls and Disney World in Florida combined. But ever since the recession of 2009, Dubai has tempered its extravagance, mostly out of necessity. It's shifted from its original super luxury image to one that's more affordable to all types of tourists. But old habits die hard, and Dubai's addiction to size over subtlety has resurfaced again with the arrival of a very different kind of expat to its city centre. Say hello to King Croc, at more than 5 metres in length and over 750 kilograms, and still growing. He's soon set to become the world's biggest crocodile. After first appearing out of the wild into a city centre in Australia and then causing havoc on a croc farm there, his future was in doubt. But now he's a popular display item in Dubai's consumer hub. For window shopping only, and certainly not to be touched. We had unprecedented access. The time from him being there to being here would be how much?
We would cover 30 centimetres in that time. So we'd be 30 centimetres further away and he'd be 5 metres closer.
Wow.
Yeah. Actually, we will back up because he's got eyes on us.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, let's move out of here. Australian Paul Hamilton has been the curator of Dubai Aquarium since 2007, and his expertise was invaluable in moving King Croc 12,000 miles from his home in Queensland, Australia, in a 747 no less. No expense spared there then, nor in the infrastructure needed to recreate his native climate.
Surely wildlife conservationists and whoever are going to say a shopping mall is not the right place to keep crocodiles.
No matter where you are planning to build a display, the display itself has to provide the needs of the animal. So certainly King and Queen would have absolutely no idea where they are in the world. We've replicated Queensland so well that they would, we've even got the bird life behind us. They hear the same noises, they're seeing the same things. They're completely unaware of them all.
King Croc was accompanied by his long-term mate, Queen Croc, some 40 years his senior. Both crocs settled down very well. The first good sign was they started feeding immediately. The second
indication was the openness of their lovemaking. They were quite happy in broad daylight to demonstrate that behaviour, and that's another indication that they're so relaxed. And then now the successful offspring.
Public displays like that are not recommended for tourists, of course. But on the croc front, the pitter-patter of webbed feet is imminent. From an original batch of 59 eggs, 48 have survived. In the wild, normally 10 would expect to hatch and produce baby crocs. But looming parenthood makes both crocs extra territorial.
Certainly King Croc would eat me if he got the opportunity. There's no doubt about it. He would certainly take that opportunity.
Ooh. Now, I've been cage diving with crocodiles in South Africa. I've actually helped relocate an adult crocodile and held a baby crocodile in Australia. But this, in the middle of a shopping mall in Dubai, well, this takes the biscuit. And to think, this is the fate that could have awaited them. As much as I admire the fact that children here are getting a rare view of exotic animals, I must admit I'm keen to see wildlife in a more natural setting. A last view of the world's tallest building, which was only completed thanks to the wealth of Abu Dhabi, the next emirate on my journey. The country's capital is also by far the country's biggest and most powerful emirate. But passing the big city lights, vast expanses await you if you venture further inland. A glorious spectacle, the sand dunes of the Liwa Oasis. It's taken us 4 hours to drive from Dubai through the city of Abu Dhabi, along the coastline into the western region of the emirate. We're only about 100 kilometres from the Saudi Arabian border, and we've taken this little ferry journey. We could have done all of this really quickly by plane, but you know, we prefer the scenic route, and I'm told it's all going to be worth it. Although during the summer months temperatures approach 50 degrees here, the winter sun period hits the spot for outdoor sports.
So initially when we start, I'm going to be walking with you.
Yeah.
You're going to have your sail far out to start off with. You'll pull it in slightly, you'll feel the movement, and I'll explain how you make your first tack.
What happens if I go away from the wind too much?
You will be capsizing.
Capsizing, okay.
Yes,
right.
Hence why you need these guys.
Got you.
All right. Cool.
Did I listen? Did I hear?
So tell me when it kicks in.
So there you have it. Within about 10 minutes, this guy is an expert. Well, so I think anyway. But there's a more important reason why I'm here, to witness a unique experiment. Jebel Jes, the region's largest natural island, but for thousands of years, total desert. Okay, so Marius, we're now entering the actual wildlife reserve, is that right?
That's right. The wildlife park, as we call it, is it consists of 4,100 hectares, and it's the center of the island.
170 types of birds and 25 species of mammals roam free here. Some successfully reintroduced after near extinction, like the Arabian oryx. And so too, perhaps the star attraction, also once indigenous to the region apparently.
We have 5 cheetahs on the island.
And they're here, in a sense, to control the gazelle and buck population.
Essentially, yes, yeah. That's what we brought them in as a form of natural population control.
As the cheetahs switched from eyeing me and then the camera warily, I won't pretend I wasn't a little bit nervous. This is the world's fastest animal, after all.
Growing in the middle of the desert.
Marius grew up in South Africa's Kruger Park and then spent 35 years working in wildlife conservation. Now, this is not a species that's indigenous to the island, is it?
No, they're not. This is a reticulated giraffe coming from East Africa.
I mean, could you argue that it's actually a bit of a gimmick to have a giraffe on the island?
Yeah, it's totally out of its environment, its natural environment. But if you look at the environment that was created on Sibanias, if you look at the tree that is around here, it's all trees that come from its natural environment. But funny enough, historically, giraffes used to occur in the Arabian Peninsula. It's with the encroachment of humans and when humans started taking out that we drove them out.
Desalinated water is piped through from the mainland, much of it recycled, and sewage is treated naturally. All in all, quite a feat for the driest region on Earth. For a country known more for its man-made islands, water-guzzling golf courses and extensive use of cheap oil and gas, this island is a big boost to the UAE's eco-credentials. Last year, Sibanias Island was recognised as one of the world's leading sustainable tourist destinations.
I have to ask, I know there are plans for a golf course here. I know they want cruise liners to come here. Was that really good for the animals, for the wildlife here?
You will always, depend on how you manage it. It's all going to be about the exposure that the animals are getting to it. And we'll always research that to ensure that we do not encroach into the animal kingdom on the island, and that we always maintain that balance and that people can enjoy the animals the way we are enjoying it now.
As I approach the end of my alternative trek around the UAE, it does strike me that it would be to everybody's benefit if more was made of its unsung assets.
The tribal traditions and diverse landscapes are a welcome contrast to the urban glitz and bustle of the bigger city. Inevitably, in a country which was built from scratch in double quick time, thanks largely to an influx of foreign labour, there'll always be questions about the direction and speed of change. But record numbers of tourists and the fact that the UAE is an oasis of stability in a turbulent Middle East can only be to the country's credit. Now, maybe it's time for the UAE to explore its soulful side.